What is going on, YouTube? I'm your host, the Financial Conspirator, your guide for everything financials and conspiracies. Today we have another collaboration episode with the two gods themselves, Rakim Y3 Kim and MJ Edge Out Trading. Brothers, welcome back. I'm glad to have you guys back on the show.
Peace, peace. I'm glad to be here again. It's always good to talk about some good economic news, especially in our community. A lot of people don't like having a conversation about economics or money in general, but getting down to the fundamentals of it is very key. And I think it can just only propel us more and more to the next level.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. MJ, how you doing this week, brother?
I am good. I am great. I am well. I appreciate you asking. Yeah, I've been teaching DeFi for a long time, man. DeFi ain't dead. People just scared, man. You know what I'm saying? So, DeFi and Google getting into space. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Excited about the show.
Oh, I'm a clickbait king, so don't mind me over here. I'm just doing my thing to get the clicks. So we've got a jam-packed episode. Today we're going to be talking about the job market, the complete contradictory statements or news that we are seeing from some of the lowest unemployment numbers that we've seen in a while, and at the same time, multiple companies announcing that they're going to stop hiring and or start laying off. After that, we're going to be getting into China's vow for world dominance. That's a bit old, but still golden. Hyperinflation and the never-ending rate hikes. And then we're going to get into some ETH censorship news, which I know a lot of people have probably already heard of, but we might as well get into it a little bit deeper. So starting with the layoffs. We are seeing Stripe laying off 14% of the workers. Amazon is pausing hiring for corporate workforce. Lyft is looking to lay off 13% of their workers, Open Door 18%, Chime 12%, Twitter 50%, and Morgan Stanley is an unknown. We also heard JP Morgan is looking to get rid of some mortgage brokers because there aren't as many housing deals going through. So what do you guys think about this news in the light of the incredible job numbers?
I would say this is like I think this is just like the beginning of like some bad economic times coming up. You know what I'm saying? Just for the everyday person, because if some of these bigger corporations are laying off, like a lot of these workers are six-figure earners in these companies. So I think in terms of like just people in the everyday economy, it may get not may, I think it'll get a little harder, but also on the companies in I think companies are looking and finding out cheaper ways to have labor in the form of automation, and we already know Amazon has started implementing more robots and things like that. So people also got to be careful for that and look out for that, the fact that robots and automation are starting to come in slowly but gradually, and it's like something that many people are talking about but aren't, like the impact of it I don't think is talked about enough.
Oh, you don't like self checkout at every aisle and waiting 30 minutes at Walmart to scan two items and no cash available in the self checkout lines? Isn't that fun?
Nah, it's not fun. But on their end, they like, hey, we don't gotta pay workers anymore and stuff like that. They just like, hey, cheap labor, and we don't have to deal with nobody. Soon we'll probably see all checkout for it. Like we won't need any more really retail clerks in the big grocery stores and stuff like that. And then Amazon is just dominating in terms of retail online. Everybody just buys things online, and then it just gets shipped straight to them. And then they can even replace their own drivers with automated cars and things like that. So it's pretty. Their business model is very profitable, but in terms of people who are actually seeking for jobs, you might want to look into investing in some of these that are going, some of these companies that'll boot your job out the picture.
I agree. MJ, what are we seeing?
I think this conversation about layoffs and the hiring and the numbers just being completely contradictory to what we know and see, like just living our lives, right? Like we know and see differently than what these numbers are. and there's definitely a reflection. Is it at the accurate picture that they're painting? I'm always skeptical, man, like because it just never really made sense to me. The unemployment numbers and the layoffs. I actually said that, I'm actually a little worried how far we are behind on the layoffs because a lot of the sharper companies, they started laying off, year and a half, 2 years ago.
Mm,
And they've continued to do so, right? So I think we're just kind of getting the headwinds or the aftermath, and it's gonna get worse. I do believe it's gonna get worse, unfortunately. But automation is the future. We can't stop it. But that's why it's important for people to learn a high value skill set,
yeah,
and start making their way off of the proverbial plantation.
yeah.
Right.
Facts,
So
like
what
the
I'm
the
so
legacy. I was gonna say
no, go ahead, go. You got it.
the whole legacy system is like starting to go away, and more programming and coding jobs are starting to come into play. Like you're gonna have to learn how to do something on the internet for to make a good amount of money, or just start your own business. Like it's a lot of stuff you can do. Like people detail cars, people pressure wash houses, people clean house. Like what I'm saying, do things that other people don't want to do. I also heard that there's demand for plumbers. So
Yeah,
it,
those trade jobs are always going to be available, because those are
Mhm.
very skilled. You gotta, there's always going to be a human element into the service industry from that engineering standpoint. But I will say this, man: the kids that's growing up these days, they want to be influencers, they want to be YouTubers, they want to be, on the internet, and that's still making money on the internet, right?
Mhm.
Like so, but that's what a lot of the careers we're gonna see. We're gonna see more ridiculous numbers about, you know, OnlyFans and YouTubers and Twitters and tweets and Twitches and everybody making money off the internet. But
Mhm.
there, I'd rather make money off that back door and start collecting fees from search engines and things like that. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what you do. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's a part of our evolution that we have to go through. I think the important thing that we need to focus on is how much control we have over it, because I think we're getting a full display of a power right now, in the media and internet and all of that particular space.
Mhm.
In both of your first responses, you guys mentioned AI. So would you say I'm hearing AI or learning how to program code, which we mentioned in the last episode, you can find on YouTube. That would be a good skill to have, something to do with computers and or building with your hands. Because as we can see, the service industry as we know it, cash registers, waitresses, we're seeing restaurants come out with robots that bring food to and from the kitchen. Think about it. How hard is it to program a robot to take food to a table?
Do you
How
still
much
tip?
longer?
Do you still tip? Like, do
I
you
don't
still
remember the
tip
last time I ate
a
out, man.
robot? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really eat out, but I don't really eat out much. But that also goes back to what he was talking about. Like younger people are seeing other ways to make money, and that's not taking the waitress job and going online and making money. So a lot of these companies are like, we got to find another way to even get employees. And on top of that, having a robot is cheaper. So you know,
And that's exactly my point. People don't even tip as it is. So these waitresses the margins are already fine for these workers, for the service workers. The margins are already fine. Uh,
hmm
these robots are coming. So I think figuring out if you're some kind of a robot mechanic or some shit, that would definitely be a nice trade to get into. I know you mentioned plumbers, welding. I heard welders, the average age of the welders is like 65. Welders are only getting older and older, and we are going to need construction in these next coming times, especially if we see Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, blah blah blah. You're going to need to do something with your hands, boys and gals. So speaking of China and Russia, Xi's vow of world dominance by 2049 sends chills through the market. We already saw Saudi Arabia wanting to join BRICS. We see how much of the world GDP comes from BRICS, and it feels like we're beating a dead horse, but people just hear the word BRICS and it just goes in one ear and out the other. How important is it that the United States, as a hegemony, as a conglomerate, as the world dominant superpower, the most military bases all over the world, is finally seeing a challenge to its 200 or 170, 190 something year reign? What is Xi trying to tell the world here?
I'll let you go first, MJ.
I mean, I think he's just kind of, you know, telling the world what we already kind of know, right? Like we're seeing them take over the media industry. I don't care where you live in the US. You're seeing the Asian investors come in with cash, buying houses, buying properties, buying land. I was in Atlanta the yesterday, and my boy was telling me he got into a bidding war um, with a Chinese guy over a piece of land that they were trying to develop, and he lost. You know what I'm saying? So they're coming in, paying cash, overbuying. Even down here in Mexico, they're buying up land as well. They're buying up land. You control the land and you control the resources. That makes you a world power.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put the BRICS, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, and now we have India and Saudi Arabia talking about joining. Those are huge players in the global markets and the global financial scheme of things. And Z is only telling what we're already seeing. In my opinion, I think this is just like one of those deals where he's just putting the rest of the world on notice. Like they're not playing games. We're the only ones playing games for real. Russia ain't playing games. China ain't playing games. These guys are really out here trying to make moves with their own digital currency. They're going to do commerce, and we should really be taking notes, right? They're going to do commerce amongst themselves in their own currency. And guess what? Majority of our products come from China. Majority of everything that we use come from China. The products that we use for our food, chemicals, all that stuff. Start paying attention. Where does it come from? It comes from China. So they could easily just, whenever they feel like, flip the switch and say, now you got to pay me in the yuan. I don't want the US dollar anymore.
China and Taiwan.
Right.
Yeah, facts, and the fact that their dominance in the media, TikTok has grown to probably the biggest platform in the world right now. Like,
More
and
searches are happening on TikTok than Google amongst teenagers and young adults.
TikTok is
Yep.
crazy.
exactly, and the fact is, like, Trump, I remember Trump was saying he wanted to ban TikTok, and he had, how hell bent Trump was against China. So when the deal was made that China would be able to stay in, as a platform in the United States, that's easy infiltration. And then the fact that you got to look at, what I look at too is the content that blows up on TikTok is very against the United States, and is very, like, a lot of so-called conspiracy stuff and a lot of truth comes out about the United States that the United States citizens are seeing, and they're like, whoa, now mindset wise, mentally, the power of the United States in people's minds is less, and they don't really have faith in their country anymore. And a lot of people are just fed up with the United States. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when you don't do right by people for a long time in your own country. Everybody in the United States is dissatisfied with this country. So even you got some white supremacists mad because they were on Trump's side, and what I'm saying, in the election they feel like the election was rigged, and different things like that. So I think China is just, they're just seizing on their opportunity, and then with their partnerships with Russia, it's just an all around, like, they're just building themselves up. And like you said with the BRICS, adding in Saudi Arabia into the mix, all of the people who potentially was, or all of the people who were scared of the United States at one point are no longer scared of the United States anymore.
Because they're all on the same team now.
Exactly. They built up like a Power Ranger, big Ranger. You know how
Super
Power
group. They put a super team together. They was like,
Rangers-
all right,
They're like, wait a minute. If we all stand up,
team.
we're kind of outnumbering them.
You started the super team, bro.
yeah, they put up the super team. Yeah, you started the super team, exactly. I will
This
say
is
this
this is
just
3-0 LeBron
uh,
right now.
Right. I will say this though. China is taking advantage. And if you're paying attention to the markets, I think you should also be taking advantage. On that same note, China coming back online. You know, the commodities industry, mining, precious metals, all of those things are starting to rise in price. So,
Mhm.
man, all of my indicators and tickers and stuff right now that's been coming across my streams have been commodities, man, which means that the indexes are probably going to go down a little bit. So we may see a nice little run because China is about to re-enter the markets again on a heavy basis. You got to remember they still under lockdown from COVID, right?
Mhm.
They still under lockdown from COVID. They still going with the zero COVID policy, which you can say what you want. I don't know how deep y'all go on the Twitter rabbit holes, but I seen some crazy shit going on in China. I'm spraying the whole people down and putting them in cages and just
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I try to think it's Western propaganda, but I've seen some shit that's just
Who knows?
crazy,
I'm not
man.
saying believe it or don't, but I do know that when they announced that they were entering the market and they're getting away from the zero COVID policy, I definitely saw an increase in the markets and the commodities and the futures market. So you have to understand, like as a trader, you got to take advantage of things like that, and find you some good plays in those sectors. In the materials, they're going to be building a lot, infrastructure, stuff like that. So play the game, take advantage of the opportunities that the markets make available to you.
Also the fact that, all right, if China has a vast population, over a billion people, so if over a billion people are going to be being locked down again, um, this just puts rise and growth towards the digital economy more, because we saw when almost the whole world was on lockdown, crypto and all of the programmers were innovating at a massive rate, like at a fast rate. So there's already many programmers in China going crazy in crypto. There's already many programmers and CEOs in the crypto space, like up top. Many behind the scenes, they got some big time players invested into some of the top cryptos and are backing some of the top cryptos. So yeah, I think this could be a boom for the gaming industry and just overall the digital economy space as well.
Yeah. Rockefeller said, "Give me control of the dollar, and I care not who makes the laws." If we see a global society collapse, as hedge fund manager Giant Elliott warns, uh, I think China and their digital yuan could be that dollar controlling, while the World Economic Forum thinks they're making all the laws. So this Saudi Arabia BRICS situation, it seems like it could be one of the only resistances to the United States NATO uh, taxpayer dollar funded bloodlusted corporation. If we do see a societal global collapse, do you see a digital Fed coin coming to rise in the form of a new stimulus package that comes digitally to your phone if you download this app? Does that seem
Absolutely,
plausible?
absolutely, I think so. Because people are when people are in bad times, like we saw when COVID came around and people were in the house and they were down bad. They didn't have any income coming in. People were asking for stimulus. People needed it. And when people were on one knee, on their knees, like almost underwater, people were asking for stimulus. So if it comes down to a societal collapse in a global hyperinflation environment, I was just watching some videos about past hyperinflation events, and a lot of them have started from government spending on war. So I just saw that the United States sent $400 million in military aid to Ukraine. So I think
That's actually one of the lower payments that they sent this year.
I
exactly
was,
it's not even
brother, I
millions,
was just gonna say that.
and they send billions to Israel yearly. I don't want to. Hey, I could go crazy deep in that one, but um,
Yeah, we
that's
don't want to get banned for anti-Kemetic statements.
For semi-automatic statements. So yeah, I could see a Fed coin coming up for people in the United States. Like people are already sensitized to getting stimmy. So if we saw a global societal collapse, I think we're gonna see a lot of people pushing and asking for a Fed coin.
I think that will be. Here's the thing, man. They create the situation that calls for a solution, and then
Mhm.
they get the people to beg for it. You got, I don't know how many examples that we have, the most recent being the COVID pandemic. I don't know how many more examples we need of, problem, reaction, solution. But I'm expecting a central bank digital coin coming soon. I don't know if we'll make it next year. I know they're testing it. I know they already have a network. And here's what I want people to understand, man. And I always tell people this, so we have a full understanding about crypto, man. We didn't create none of this technology. The stories that they tell us about its institution and its creation are not necessarily 100% the truth. They created and own and operate a lot of these cryptocurrencies. They started of them, some of them. Whether or not they started the cryptocurrencies, they created the technology for the cryptocurrencies to operate on. So we have to make sure that we're clear about that, right? So we don't really have. There's not really a decentralized. I know it sounds good. I know we all want it to be that, but here's the deal: it
Who owns
can't be that.
MetaMask?
Bill Gates, and I mean,
JP Morgan and
JP Morgan.
yeah, how far you want to go? Bill Gates and JP Morgan, you know what I'm saying? It's how far you want to go down that rabbit hole. There is really no decentralized, but here's where we come into play as strength in numbers. Is if we control enough of the space, then we control it, we can own it. Because of the protocol is always going to have that safeguard in, like, if the people ever get their shit together, they can take it over. we
My
couldn't we had
brother.
no we had no chance in the petrochemical dollar situation. We had no chance in the Federal Reserve notes because it bonded us to involuntary servitude basically at the moment where we were all born.
Yep.
And I don't care if you were born in America or in Africa or in Canada or fucking wherever, you're a debt slave. Some debtors, some slaves just live better than others. But we're all debt slaves. And until we kind of understand that and realize that we do have the power in the numbers, we can use this tool, which is the blockchain and crypto technology, to free ourselves financially. But it comes from not just saying this is decentralized, but what if I told you got to decentralize your life? Then you decentralize your community. Then you decentralize the states that you're living in, right? You start spreading out all of this power using the blockchain and autonomous organizations, decentralized
Mm-hmm.
autonomous. Then you can have elections that are clean. You can have neighborhood patrols that are regulated. You can have all of these things in place using this one system. But we have to come to the understanding that, you know, it's a tool. It's not a weapon yet.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a weapon, but it could be a weapon that we could use.
Exactly.
And I think that's the important thing that I want everybody kind of decentralized myth is a myth, man. It would be lovely, but we have to understand it from a real perspective and from a functionality perspective. Like, how do we actually use this technology? Okay,
Exactly.
then we can understand that of course it's not decentralized, but yes, we can actually, maybe I don't know where my data's going, right? But I can certainly control who I'm selling it to if I put it on the blockchain. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, it's certain things like that the blockchain and cryptocurrencies will allow us to do. We just have to be, proactive about it, or it's going to be used against us.
Exactly. And power in numbers. Uh, Black people as a community spend billions on Jordan sneakers, billions on Hennessy, billions on Gucci every year, billions on BMWs we can't afford. So more black people own BMWs than white people. Black people can't even afford them as much as white people can, and they don't
Wait,
buy
wait,
them
wait. It's
as
a
much
hell
as
of a
we
car,
can.
though. Hell of a car, though. Hell of a
It's a
car.
beautiful car. I'll give you that. But if
Yeah.
we were to take half of the money we spent on these car payments that we get to impress people that we don't enjoy, and we put them into rebuilding our community, building our own schools with our own education systems, building our own hospitals, charging real rates, not tens of thousands out the ass because we gave you some
Right, or
radiation,
here's the thing that will crypto will allow us to do. We could keep our dollars in our community.
which is the most
Bad.
Right.
important thing.
It would allow us to keep our dollars. Our well, if it's not a dollar, right? Let's stop saying dollars because we could very well be trading ether or
Satoshis.
BTC, satoshis, right? Um, we could keep our satoshis in our community, and when people need them, we could loan them out. We could, provide services,
They
etc.
said they said the black dollar, the black Satoshi stays in the black community for 24 hours. The fastest turnaround in any race in the world. Latinos, it stays longer. With Asians, it stays in their community a little bit longer. And white people, it stays in their community a little bit longer. Black people, it's 24 hours before we turn around and give our money to someone else. And we're probably spending that money to harm ourselves. We want to be honest about it. But
And
let's get
it really starts like with you as an individual, growing and building yourself in the mind up in the mindset of like this stuff is possible. Like me for myself, I just got a greenhouse and I'm gonna build that up so I can start producing more vegetables and things like that. More.
congratulations, bro.
Thank you, family. Thank you, family. So I'm like, hey, I know hydroponics speeds up the process of growing food. I can grow, food at a faster rate. Da 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 da. So just being in a mindset of learning, bro, and learning what you can do to sustain yourself. Some other ideas that have came up in my mind is, hey, in Georgia, where I'm at, is it's free to catch rainwater. It's legal to catch rainwater. Catch the rainwater so you spending less money on water. And if something goes down and you can't spend as much money like this hyperinflation thing, you can't spend the amount of money that you would like on the amount of water that you want, bro. You got something set up where you can catch rainwater, bro. And then make your own food. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we coming into a stage where we got to start thinking outside the box and start thinking about like what's really out here. You know what I'm saying?
Relying on self, not waiting on the government to send out a stimulus check to
Yeah,
save
we
us.
gotta be productive. And like he was saying, DeFi, crypto, staking, all of this, these are new um
Tools.
wealth tools exactly. And I remember Ian Dunlap saying in 2008, Bitcoin was created. Basically, newer and more developed wealth tools are created because what higher inflationary times are coming. So we're going to have to be able to produce more gains. And I bet you these banks and stuff were funding it because they knew higher inflation times were coming. So they're in on it too. They getting their gains, they staking, they in DeFi. You see, JP Morgan just did a transaction on the
Hmm.
Polygon board. So just understanding, learning, reading white papers,
Yep.
reading the basics, learning all of this because coming up, this is going to be like the new technologies, the new things that we're going to have to know about.
Exactly. And we might sound like we're being all doom and gloom when we talk about CBDCs and whatnot, but you can invest in the technology that's building this new financial system. XDC, you've got the whole XRP network, the Ripple system.
It's the
There's entire networks and
There's a
ecosystems around
there's an
building this stuff.
interesting. I was watching this thing and said there's like 70% of the Fortune 500 companies are already building on the Ethereum mainnet, which means that they're already making money off of it. You know what I'm saying? So we're at the ground floor, and all we're not trying to be doom and gloom. We're just trying to let you know that there's an opportunity available, and after that, that's really all we can do because we're in it. We're seeing what's going on. We're trying to get the information out because, like you started the show, man, knowledge is key. Hopefully, we get somebody on the line that maybe didn't know a lot about crypto and know what opportunities were available, but it is most definitely out here, and you can invest in the technology of the future. Essentially, our financial system
Mhm.
is going to be based off of the blockchain, whether you want it to be or not. Whether you're living off the grid or on the grid, you're going to have to do commerce and do that exchange to get goods and services by. So I feel like it's better to be ahead of the game than behind. You stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Yep.
Fact.
I think they use our community. You see, Lil Baby and all these rappers, Gunna with a live ledger chain, and you see Lil Baby with NFTs. They use our culture to put hype and extract all the value out of us at the same time. They're using our culture to create this new financial system while also extracting and leaving us on the receiving end and not the investing end. It's always an extraction of our dollars, and we're not growing. This is the time to be using this opportunity to gather as many different technologies as you can. You don't think NFTs are going to come back, but plane tickets are going to be NFTs. Public transportation is going to be NFTs. It's like you said, whether you like it or not,
Concert
the world
tickets
is
are
going to
already
be.
NFTs.
It's going to be
Sports.
digitized. Everything.
Chili's is a crypto platform that creates social tokens for sports clubs. Like they have their own blockchain now, and they're partnered with FC Barcelona and
Yeah,
I
I heard
believe PSG, in who has the best soccer players in the world, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and they are partnering with the team, and these people make billions of dollars. So they are using this platform, this software to basically, create new experiences. That's what these companies are doing. They're creating new experiences using blockchain and digital assets. So just learning more about it, you'll have the opportunity to make some big money. I think a lot of people are going to be hurt if they miss out on, the bigger crypto boom. We haven't got there, in my opinion.
Yep, you will be more hurt not investing than you will be investing and losing another 30% in the next 6 months. Like
And just don't panic sell, and you'll be happy five
exactly,
years from now.
exactly. There's a 99% chance of you making money if you buy the S&P and hold it for 10 years. 99%, and people still. I mean, if you're out here buying the Powerball, and I catch you and I see you and you're subscribed to me, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna physically attack you. This
Hey, you
Powerball
can't win if you don't play
nonsense.
though.
This Powerball nonsense. While you don't have any shares, you don't
Nah, you
have
don't
100
really.
shares. This is the exact time period where we need to be studying earnings, how to break down a company's PE ratio instead of picking what 8 numbers are going to be randomly drawn. So
Mm,
speaking of earnings, we have AMD missing but still getting 29% revenue growth. I've been talking about AMD for a while now. I think when it was 2 years ago, around $70, it went up to 100 something, came back down, and it's around my current entry point. This is not financial advice, but if you are looking to buy AMD, just going back to all-time highs, not factoring in any excess growth, just back to all-time highs, you're looking at around 200%. So the sheer opportunity that retail investors have
hmm
to absolutely exponentially grow their wealth right now is incredible. And MicroStrategy stock rises on Q3 earnings, beat amid Bitcoin losses, and MicroStrategy is one of the best performing assets on the planet right now. I wish I had the graph, but MicroStrategy is one of the only companies that's up over the past 2 years. It was ridiculous. I'm gonna find it, post it on my Instagram, and tag you guys on it. But it's there is still opportunity and growth to be had. Just because we're seeing these rising interest rates right now, this is short term, a short term problem. The long term, companies will find solutions. That's what people have always done. We've always found solutions to problems. We've got out of the Great Depression. We got out of the 1970s hyperinflation area. We've always seen a rebound. We've got out of the 2000 the dot-com crash, and those companies that came out have been some of the best performing assets of all time. Amazon, like the phoenix that is reborn. I think we will see some phoenixes reborn in this global societal collapse, as some hedge fund managers have called it. Are you guys looking at any companies' earnings coming up? I know Square's coming up. Are you guys looking at any earnings?
Um, I don't really look at like too deep into stocks like crazy. I just like look at the ones that are just most obvious, like the partnership with Apple and Square, like just obvious stuff. And I'll be like, okay, I'll invest in that. Like I like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really look too deep into it. I feel like that's I was gonna say I feel like earnings is more for like trading, but that's still important to see what the company is bringing in every quarter. So because messing around Apple, I don't. It most likely won't happen, but mess around and Apple is down, some crazy stuff going on in the company. But
Yep.
yeah,
I don't know if Apple's ever going down, but
nah, nah.
Apple's arguably. I don't even think it's arguably. It's the best company in the world.
Mhm.
Whether you like Apple products or not, like you know what I'm saying.
I think behind that oil company though in Saudi Arabia,
I mean, but other than oil,
yeah, they the number one. Yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
But Apple got you using other than oil. Apple got you using pretty much all of their services one way or another.
If it ain't
yeah.
Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Apple
Apple Pay.
TV, Apple Pay, God damn it.
Yeah, they're going to they're developing a an electric self-driving car, I believe.
Mm,
One thing I want people to know, like, look, stocks aren't that hard. This game is not that hard. We're just not doing well in it before the lack of information. And I honestly, well, I kind of knew this, but I never really like engaged in it. You can hop on their earnings calls and listen to what they saying.
Yep. Yep.
You can hop
And you
on
can hear
there.
what they're thinking about the next 6 to 12 months. And
You
if it
can
matches up with exactly what you're thinking, and a lot of these companies are saying it looks like it's gonna get a hell of a lot worse.
yeah. You can hop on there and listen to the calls, guys. So it's all about understanding the game. The more elegant the player, the more elegant the game, right? So just you got a little stock in Apple, you got a little stock in Google, Amazon, AMD. The earnings calls come out. You can hop on the call and listen and see how your investment is doing. This is
yeah,
what you have to do when we're talking about ownership, right? Like we're talking about ownership now. We own things, we own shares, we own stock, we own a piece of this company. So
yeah,
yes, I'm gonna participate because I'm a shareholder. You feel me? I
yeah.
own
I'm
these
the
things, right?
priority.
Yeah.
You
So
won't actually even pay attention if you're not invested. That's one thing that I realized too. If your money is not in something, you won't pay attention to it because you don't have no attachment to it. So actually getting invested in stuff, and you will start to gradually learn as you are paying attention to what's going
You'll
on.
want to. Yep.
you'll want to participate in those earnings calls. Like I've been Kore, it's core. They're doing a lot of stuff on some AI and coding and developments and stuff like that. They're
Mm,
actually based out of Georgia, Alpharetta, I believe. Um, I'm actually gonna hop on. I got a couple shares. I'm gonna hop on their call next week. You know what I mean? I've never really sat in on one, so I want to see. You know, I want to learn that. I want to see. I want to see how they talk and understand what their outlook is for the company.
And for these major companies like Tesla and Apple, there's usually YouTubers that are live streaming the earnings calls on YouTube while they happen. So you can see other people interacting with what they're saying in real time, what the shareholders are thinking of what the board is doing. This is all information that you want to have if you really want
yeah,
10,000, 1,000, 100,000 shares in a company. Because you are a piece of that company now. And that
yeah,
company is a piece of you, your wealth. So the Fed, the Fed. It's the never-ending topic. Uh, Jerome Powell said that it is, among other things, that it's premature to pause rates, and we have a long way to go. I think that was one of the most hawkish calls probably yet, and I heard a lot of people expecting a dovish tilt. What did you guys think of that last meeting?
Well, before our first rate hike, I called 7 points within a year. So the way I see it, if we get if we get to 7% by the end of the year, then I feel like I should get a Klondike bar or something.
I'll send you. I'll cash up you a Klondike bar. I
You know
got
what I
you.
mean? Like something. No, I this is I trade the futures market. I trade interest rates. So just understanding how the markets work. I said 7. That was not an arbitrary number. We should get to 7. Where are we at? This puts us at 3.5. Our first hike was in what? April or June? April, May. I can't remember the first one. But they've been pretty consistent. What they went 75 basis points this last time. I think they've been pretty consistent. Powell, man, that dude, he don't care. Like he's not really. He doesn't have any real oversight. Um, the the um, the presidential arm. How do you call that? I sound stupid, but the president is not doing his checks and balances that he should be doing with the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty much going unchecked. Um, but it's probably necessary to reel in inflation because we're heading towards some tricky times. I don't think it's necessarily helping, but it's what he was always going to do anyway. Everything else is just playing off of that, right? They're manipulating and controlling it. It's been a controlled selling environment for a year and a month now. Like if you want to be 100% with the markets, it's been a controlled selling environment for 1 year, 1 month to date right now.
And this is how private corporations work. We're going to do what we're going to do until we are satisfied. And if you're losing money, go fuck yourself. Go cry in the corner because we're going to keep doing what we're doing and we're going to keep doing it. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't care if the president, I don't care if the England central bank, I don't care if the Spain, how many banks have written to the Fed and asked them to pause, to stop, to cut, and there's nothing they can do because inflation is still rising. And quote unquote, the path for a soft landing has tightened or narrowed. He said it's narrowed. The path for a soft landing, which we knew from the beginning was a bunch of load of horse.
They're just trying not to crash the markets too fast.
Yeah, and as MJ said, there's no checks and balances between, the president and the Fed. Like honestly, the Fed, they don't care anyway because the Fed is basically like a entity to themselves. You know what I'm saying? So, and also just going deeper into who is really in control of this entire thing. The president won't even speak up to check the Fed because that's his brother. He's rocking with him. He's with this. Whatever is going on, he's with it. And also, like, the president looks up to people too. The President Biden looks up to people like the Klaus Schwab. You know what I'm saying? The World Economic Forum. Like they are looking up. Like that's why I don't really look too deep into politics because these people are bought and paid for. They're lobbyists who buy and pay for these politicians, and the Fed really controls everything that goes in terms of the economy. They control everything that goes on. So also with the Bank of England, I see a lot of these people. They just follow in each other's footsteps, and it looks like they could drive it to the point where it could be a societal collapse and hyperinflation. 'Cause what happens when they turn the money printer back on after all of this stuff is going on? People need, or are crying out for more money, and like I think they're this is building up to a hyperinflation environment. We already are in a pretty high inflation environment, but hyperinflation I think is going
Absolutely. Hyperinflation, central bank digital currencies, all this stuff is more of a motivation to knowledge because
Yeah.
that is really the one shield that we have to be aware and to be knowledgeable on these subjects and to spread the knowledge to other people. So, you mentioned 70% of 70% of stock market companies were looking to build on the Ethereum mainnet. So just to
Already building.
already building, not looking
Already
to
building.
build, already building,
Right.
right? So this is a tweet from a while back. It got a whole bunch of stink at the time, and everyone seemed to forget about it. Vitalik Buterin, the main guy at Ethereum network headquarters, went on a spiel about how he's worried about Ethereum censorship and how it should be more like Bitcoin. It was a whole uh, 20 tweet collage. In one of the tweets, he says, contradiction between my love for things like decentralization and democracy and my realization that in practice I agree with the intellectual elites more than quote unquote the people on many specific policy issues. And post the Ethereum 2.0 merge, OFAC compliant blocks have been around 75%. So, to sum that up, what is he saying?
Essentially,
Democracy sounds good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
nah, you hit it right on the head. Like essentially, they are the Ethereum has been completely taken over and compromised. Like he was already hinting at this a while ago, and then with the switch from proof of stake, allowing the whole market and the whole blockchain to be taken over, he was giving us the hint. He was giving us the heads up a while ago. In terms of decentralized finance, Ethereum still leads in total value locked in DeFi with, I believe, around $32 billion locked in DeFi. Now that doesn't mean you can't, get some yields on some of these DeFi platforms because it's still, nice to get a good yield on a lot of these good DeFi platforms. But just be careful. Try not to show or expose your wallet address. You know what I'm saying? In any sort of fashion, and then come out, exposing these people for the things that they do. Because in an instant your wallet will get frozen and your funds will be frozen. And this is like what MJ was talking about earlier. These decentralized, for me, when it comes to anything other than Bitcoin is not real, or a proof of work consensus mechanism, crypto is not real. Even in proof of work, people can do a 51% attack on the network, and then it'll be taken over. But he was already letting us know who he's siding with. So
Who really runs the crypto space? That's what he was saying. Like,
yeah,
and we gotta just remember that J.P. Morgan was a huge part of the founding and funding of Ethereum, the original Ethereum. So, um, we just gotta be mindful and understand what the and they informed consent is universal law, right? He telling you
Yeah.
exactly he's telling you exactly what it is, but are we interpreting the right way? Are we interpreting the right way? Are we understanding what he means by this? Are we ready to do what it takes to basically control our own little corner in the crypto space on the blockchain? But yeah, all right.
Yeah, and its history is repeating itself. We see J.P. Morgan at the head of a major technology before a essentially a great reset. Who was at the head of the great electricity era? J.P.
I
Morgan.
don't know. No, 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 no way, no way, no way, no way.
J.P. Morgan. There we go. It's. I mean, it's history doesn't repeat itself, but it damn sure rhymes.
Riddles and
We
rhymes. Yeah,
we
J.P.
see JP
Morgan's been
Morgan
playing
doing
a
this
game.
shit with Ethereum, and now and back in the day they were doing that shit with Edison and Nikola, and they switched sides because one was more profitable than the other. It's starting to make a little bit more sense as to why they're very Ethereum is great. Ethereum is just as good. Ethereum is better than Bitcoin. It it's starting to make a little bit of sense why Bitcoin is a worthless scam. JP Morgan's saying, JP Diamond saying Ethereum is worthless or Bitcoin is worthless while building and hiring crypto teams,
mhm.
entire
Busting their own
offices for
crypto.
crypto,
Right.
while condemning it publicly. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yep. That and people got to understand, man. It's these guys. They're not in it to lose money. They're in it to dominate the market.
Yeah,
They're doing it to dominate the market. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then we got some more news on JP Morgan, didn't they? They just did their first transaction quote unquote, air quotes.
The first one ever.
The first one announced.
The first one.
Exactly.
Never mind that some directors and presidents started
The whole
continuing.
fucking
You know
thing.
what I mean?
Come on.
Never mind that. That we're not gonna
As
talk
if they
about
didn't
that.
get 70% of the pre-mine of all of the Ethereum supply. Like, what are we talking about here, guys?
Right.
This is the
Right.
first trade. This is the first trade you've ever done. You have 70% of the supply, and but you want to condemn XRP for being a centralized security token. You did the same exact thing. I saw a speech with Vitalik uh, saying that Ethereum is just like XRP with their pre-mine. It's literally the exact same thing. If you want to go into a rabbit hole on Twitter, hashtag ETHgate, hashtag ETHgate.
Even Vitalik said XRP isn't a security, but Ethereum is. So you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff is going, really come all around. You know what I'm saying? I had to back up and lower my stance on certain cryptos because I'm like, wait, I don't know everything that's going on here, but I'm gonna just take what's being given and I'm really put the pieces together.
Yep.
So
I used to be ETH is gonna flip Bitcoin head ass, bro. I used to be all into it. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean they had a pre-mine just like XRP? Wait, what do you mean that there's 8 people, there's like 12 people with 70% of the entire supply? What do you mean that there's no set supply on Ethereum? What are you talking about? Staking now 70% of the nodes, 49% of the nodes are going through 2 validators. What are you guys talking about? That's not how. This decentralized finance.
But there is still opportunity for you to have ownership, and
Yep.
it is. You're not wrong, right? And all of those things are true, but there is still room for you to have ownership in Ethereum. There's still room for you to have a node. There's still room for you to make money
mhm.
from the crypto space because we're that early. 10 years from now, I can't say that we'll have that opportunity. Because as the adoption grows,
This is why they say
um,
money is time.
yeah, as the adoption grows, and as they perform more transactions on these networks, is
It's
people are
just
just
naturally,
it's
more
just
more stuff is
naturally,
going to be
yeah,
coming.
they're just gonna grab up more market space, man.
Hmm.
But right now, we're in the spot. They're still trinkling it out there, like, oh, it's our first transaction. Or, wait until you got all 2,000 companies in the stock market, the top 2,000 companies in the U.S. stock market, and they all got their hands in it. Wait till BlackRock is officially out of the closet on their crypto portfolio, right?
Oh
The BlackRock been out the closet. They got a $400 million investment in USDC Circle. So
man, and they're
That
huge
all?
owners in Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust, Square, MicroStrategy, all these Riot, Hut, all these Bitcoin mining, all these Bitcoin miners, all these Bitcoin proxy
They own
companies.
small little chunks.
They own 4%, 3%, and they're at the same time, crypto is a scam. We do not support any of these. It is all illegitimate and used by criminals.
And then we're gonna wake up one day and Bitcoin's gonna be trading at 150K, and Ethereum's gonna be at 25K, and BlackRock's gonna be running the world because they have the most money
And land.
and land and resources and everything else. But like I said, right now we have opportunity to kind of carve out our own space. If you don't
Yep.
want to do that, have fun.
One of the best opportunities to close the racial wealth gap is
Absolutely,
through cryptocurrency, and I will
absolutely.
always stand by that. Hey man, it's been a pleasure. You guys are.
Hold on, hold on,
Oh,
hold on.
we almost forgot.
I
We
was gonna
almost
Yeah,
forgot.
say,
Solana. We're talking about Ethereum. Raheem, what's going on with Sol?
okay, so it's been made known that Google has now started validating blocks on the Solana blockchain, and this actually has me interested in Solana now. At first, I didn't like Solana because it was all having all of the network outages, but you got a big business player like Google coming in with their technology, and they're saying, "Hey, Solana, like from here on out, our chain is not going down no more." You know what I'm saying? They like, "Hey, Google got our back. They got some money to come in and help us out with this." So in terms of in a on a business standpoint, I kind of see Solana as kind of like Apple, maybe too crazy, but kind of like the Apple. They got the aesthetic and things like that. The Apple of crypto. So I'm actually interested in Solana now. It is still a heavily centralized chain. Like we said, none of this stuff is really decentralized, but I'm pretty interested in Solana now with Google becoming a validator on the network.
Yeah, before all those outages and all that, I saw that Solana, the transaction per second, shits on Ethereum. I mean, it makes it look like child's play. The amount of transactions that you can do on Solana in I think
Yeah,
a second or 10 minutes. It's just a complete separation from Ethereum. Ethereum is still quite slow, and people would argue that Bitcoin is still quite slow, but there is time, and
Inexpensive.
this shows
So
you how
inexpensive.
early. Exactly, the gas fees. This shows you how early we are. There's still so much. There's still so many problems with the space that when these things get fixed, it it will validate a higher price. Once
yeah,
these things like Solana outages not being as frequent, it will validate its all-time high and exceed it. Every day that the Bitcoin network doesn't fall or get hacked, it validates a higher price than yesterday. So the fundamental value of these companies, technologies, day by day, if you're watching and paying attention, it should be increasing. You should be looking for things that are expanding during times of contraction, as 19 Keys says.
So, in short, we got just this week, so they want to let us believe JP Morgan was messing around with the Polygon network, which is Matic. Google announced that they are working on the node infrastructure for Solana, right? And then we already know that the Ethereum mainnet has been live and has had companies already working on it. We already know that the Lightning Network has several companies. We are working on it. We already. What I'm basically saying is, put your company on a node, right?
mhm,
You got. It's a smarter way to do business. These guys are not playing to lose this game. And I agree with what you said. I was never really a huge fan of Solana. I'll be honest. I remember telling Xavier a lot. I was like, man, that thing's been that their network bridges have been destroyed so many times. I would never put my money in there.
Yeah, you were
But
saying that when it was like 60, it was up there too.
and and it's like Google coming in, like you said, it validates them a little bit. It's gonna beef up that security. It's gonna give them an opportunity to make some headwinds on stepping up and competing with Ethereum.
And it makes you wonder, what does Google see in Solana? What does
yeah.
Google see in Solana that makes them want to invest in the network itself and help build the infrastructure? Am I tripping, or does Google own IBM, that like supercomputer, or is that not Google?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if they own IBM. They may own some portions of some tech or something. But
Yeah, I
don't
know.
don't sleep. Like Google, Google is that's a
The cloud.
that's an extension of the government, if you ask me.
Yeah, man.
It's just as good as gold.
And
That's like
let's
the
not
U.S.
forget,
government buying into Solana,
The worldwide government, not even just the U.S. government. That's like that. That's the worldwide government.
right?
let's not forget about the Solana phone. The
Oh, yep.
Solana phone
Mm.
with the how bad? Because let's be honest, nobody has a Google Pixel phone for real. With how bad the Google Pixel phone has been, they may be looking at this as an opportunity because the Solana phone is strictly, focused on Web3. So they may be looking at Solana as an opportunity to upgrade, their mobile phone game too. They may come in and do a little work on that. So and
I didn't
Solana is
actually
at
didn't think about that.
I
$35 right
never thought about that
I never
before.
thought about that
That
before,
this
man.
nigga is
That
crazy.
is actually I never thought about it that
That's
way, but that is
genius.
crazy. That is kind of genius. And now it makes more sense for Google because I was kind of like, what do they see in Solana? But yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. They can expand into so many areas.
And now you got Google with the Oculus and the VR and the AR. You get some Google glasses attached with Solana. You can look at the register and your Solana will get taken out. I mean, the shit could get really, really wicked. It could get wicked quick. Like
Yeah.
4 years, 3 years is a long time.
Google is a
And now they
massive
got
company.
the whole Solana blockchain in the Google Cloud. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I think Solana is sitting at $35 right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about getting in on some Solana now. Now that we're talking about it for real.
Yeah,
I'm,
man. I
I'm
think
trying to
Ian.
I'm trying to get like Google and get. I'm gonna be a validator on Solana now, man. I'm gonna go check out and see how I can get me a node running on Solana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ian Dunlap mentioned a while ago. I think he mentioned 14. Was it? It was 14 or 12.
Yeah.
And
This may be
man,
a period.
yeah, man, it's that time accumulation during times of
I thought Solana was
contraction.
dead though. I thought Solana was
I
dead.
did too. I ain't gonna lie. I
Yeah.
didn't think they would recover like to where they could have been. I was always really impressed with their NFT networks and their blockchain, but it just got taken down too many times for me to really put any heavy money behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Especially during that Luna time period, it was going
Right.
down. Even then, like do all that, it was
What
the
happens
worst.
when a company like Microsoft partners up with a company like Cosmos,
Mm.
blockchain company like Cosmos? What happens when Apple partners up with like a Cardano? Or you know what I mean? What happens when these Fortune 500 companies really start going to work on the blockchain for real? We're looking at gains that our minds can't even really wrap around.
The
Amazon was just trading at what like 1,500 like
Oh
6 months
my
Yeah.
god!
ago.
The entire market cap is around $1 trillion, and they're teaming up with companies that are trillions
$1 trillion company,
themselves. The
$1 trillion company.
entire crypto market cap is just 1,000, and they're incorporating and teaming up with companies that themselves are worth multiple trillions.
And when
People
they
don't.
do, I thank Allah. I thank Allah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man,
Facts.
it's gonna be a bull market we haven't seen since the 1920s.
We don't even really know what that looks like. If you got
Nope.
into some of these coins at $5, $10, $30, $100, you don't even really know what it could potentially look like. I was reading somebody said a Bitcoin could be at 12 million in 10 years. It could be
Easily.
trading one
Mhm.
Bitcoin could be 12 million. They said Ethereum could be 250,000 in 10
There's
years.
not enough Bitcoin for each billionaire to get one.
Right. Like it could just drive the price up, something like we've never seen.
Yeah.
Like I said, now's the time that we need to be understanding, learning, investing in make the knowledge investment first. Make the investment in the
Facts.
knowledge and the education before you start putting any real money into this stuff. We've been doing this for a while. We've already lost a bunch of money doing it, right? Uh, so we got to make sure that the next phase, the next generation, people kind of have a better understanding. But it's gonna be there, and I think it'll probably be there for the next year or two, 3 years, maybe. And then after that, man, it's just I think I don't even like to think about it because it makes me really happy, and it's not tangible yet, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to be able to go take that and buy a yacht or something. You know what I'm saying? So
And to make that knowledge investment, I have an ebook. You can click the link in my bio to I basically teach on the beginning stages of blockchain. What you need to know if you don't know nothing about blockchain and crypto, go get my ebook, or you can schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. So, hey man, we
What's the
here.
Instagram?
My Instagram is at y3kim, and you can click the link in my bio or DM me the word ebook if you want to learn more about blockchain and crypto. So, yeah.
MJ, where can we find you at?
yeah, I do some teaching as well. I got a lot of information and resources in my Discord, edgeouttrading.eth on Instagram and Twitter. If you shoot me a DM, I'll shoot you a link to the Discord. I'm available pretty much whenever anybody wants to talk. I put all my personal information out there so people can always contact me, ask me questions. I got a pretty crazy track chat going on with some of my partners and stuff where we all kind of mixing up all sorts of things, not just necessarily crypto. So, that's where you can find me, MJ Edge Out Trading, Twitter, Instagram. If you got any questions, just ask me a question, man. I'm pretty easy to contact and straightforward. I'm not one of these furus out here trying to take your money. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just out here trying to live my best life.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thank you guys for coming on again. I will see you next
Thanks
week.
for having us, bro.
Peace.
Make
peace.
sure you guys like and subscribe. We out.
Definitely do that.
And